Kia ora, I'm Caroline Perry, NZ Director for Break, the road safety charity. Sorry that I can't be there with you today, but thank you for the opportunity to speak to your workshop. I'm just going to spend the next few minutes talking a little bit about the work that Break does, and also looking at the road safety situation in New Zealand and what we can and should be doing to help save lives and reduce injuries on our roads. So Break is a national road safety charity and is also part of the international charity Break. We work to prevent road deaths and injuries, to make communities safer, and to provide free support to families who've been affected by crashes. But this is the main reason we do what we do. This slide shows some of our volunteers and people who've supported us over the years who've been seriously injured in crashes, and others who have sadly been killed in crashes, and other loved ones of some of our bereaved volunteers as well. I imagine when many of you left home to travel to this workshop, you said goodbye to your family, to wife, husband, partner, children, your loved ones. And families do this each and every day. But this week, like every other week, there will be some people who never make it home to their families again. And this week, just like every other week, more families will have to face an unexpected knock at the door from a police officer who's come to tell them that the person they love most in the world won't be coming home ever again because they've been suddenly, needlessly killed in a road crash. And even more families will be dealing with the pain and upheaval of a serious injury, and many of those are debilitating and life-altering. And the ripple effect of crashes is huge. As well as immediate and extended families, there are friends, work colleagues, school communities, the wider community people live in, witnesses to the crash, and emergency services who attend. This is the true cost of crashes, and those families and others affected by crashes are the reason that Break exists. As a country, our road safety record isn't good. As some of you may know, we have a high death and serious injury rate from road crashes. We have around 8 road deaths per 100,000 people, far higher than many other developed nations, including our neighbours Australia and many European countries. And as you can see from this graph, in the last decade, whilst we saw our lowest level of road deaths on record in 2013, we've seen an increase over the years since then, and our level of road deaths has stayed fairly steady over the last couple of years. Now, whilst some of the increases can be accounted for by more vehicles on the road and more kilometres driven, that doesn't account for the whole increase that we've seen. And even last year, with the COVID pandemic affecting everyone's ability to move around, there were still 318 deaths, and those are provisional figures from Ministry of Transport, NZTA, compared to 352 deaths the year before. So not a huge decline when you consider how much our movement was restricted for some of the year last year. And if we look at the social cost, this provides us with an indicator of what crashes cost us and the economy. Current figures are a total cost of $4.9 billion per year. 4.9 billion, that's a huge amount that it's costing us each year. Each death is $4.56 million. Every serious injury is almost $500,000, and even minor injuries are costing tens of thousands. And when we talk about social costs, this is taking into account things like emergency, rehabilitation, and legal costs. But it also looks at loss of life or quality of life and loss of earnings potential for that person too. So when someone says that putting in a new pedestrian crossing or cycling infrastructure in their local community is a waste of money, or a median barrier is an inconvenience, we say look at how much crashes are costing us every single year. Look at what even a minor injury can cost. And all of those economic costs don't account for the unimaginable and infinite costs that crashes have on families whose loved one has been killed. For them, that life is irreplaceable. So what do we need to do to reduce these costs, and most importantly, to save lives on our roads? I'm sure you'll all be familiar with the current Road to Zero road safety strategy, and perhaps with the Vision Zero approach which underpins it. Break, along with a number of other NGOs, has pushed for a Vision Zero approach to road safety in NZ since 2016. So we're really pleased to see it's the basis for the Road to Zero strategy, but now we need to start walking the talk. And in case you haven't come across the wider Vision Zero, it's a Swedish ethics-based approach to road safety, which focuses on the core principle that human life and health can never be exchanged for other benefits within society. So this slide shows the other principles that it undertakes, but that core one is that life and health shouldn't be exchanged. And it takes the zero harm approach that we're all very familiar with in workplace health and safety onto the road. Driving is the riskiest thing that most of us do on a daily basis. And under Vision Zero, systems take account of human fallibility and work to minimise the harm caused when someone makes a mistake. And those involved in providing that system, including all of you, share responsibility with road users. Now, there are 4 pillars to the Vision Zero approach, with some places also having introduced a 5th pillar, which we also see as a vital part of the Vision Zero approach. So when we talk about Vision Zero, it means having safe roads and roadsides that are designed for people before traffic. It means having safe speeds that reduce the risk of deaths and injuries and enable people to walk and cycle more for safety, health and environmental benefits. It means having safe vehicles that are designed to prevent crashes from happening and to minimise the harm if a crash does occur. And the 4th pillar is safe road users who share responsibility for everyone's safety and comply with the road rules. And that 5th pillar is post-crash response, which means having quality emergency response and trauma care that helps to save lives and reduce injuries if a crash does happen. And also it means providing emotional support for all of those who've been affected by crashes to help them to recover. So if we take the approach from Vision Zero that human life and health can't be exchanged for other benefits within society, we need to look at how we plan and design our transport system and who it's for. So some of you may have come across this reverse pyramid before by Bicycle Innovation Lab. And we've seen that historically, roads have been planned and designed for motorised vehicles first, and we've often seen safety traded for efficiency and for other benefits. But if we're putting life and health first and foremost, then we need to consider the most vulnerable road users of that particular road first when we're planning and designing infrastructure. So when it comes to roads and roadsides, this will depend to some extent on the road involved, of course, and for example, who and what types of transport are prioritised in planning and designing urban roads would be different to motorways. But we need to consider first the most vulnerable people that would be using those road environments. So children, the elderly and people with impairments that affect their use of roads or how they interact with the road environment is that top group. So this is a slightly simplified version, but gives you an idea for local community and urban roads where those users are using the road environment. And if you think about the roads you use yourself or your family uses, even here in Auckland where I'm based, I've been on buses before to places where I've got off at the other end at a bus stop only to find that there isn't a footpath or pavement to walk on, only a grass verge at the side of the road. And do I feel safe walking there? No, not all the time, depending on traffic there is. And so vulnerable road users need that protection in places where they have interaction with motorised traffic. Pedestrians and cyclists have over a 90% chance of surviving if they're involved in a crash at speeds of 30 kilometres an hour or lower. That's why the World Health Organization recommends maximum speed limits of 30 k's in places where there are high numbers of pedestrians and cyclists, such as city and town centres and outside schools. So you have a role when designing intersections and use of traffic signals, for example, in helping to protect the most vulnerable road users, and you can help to save the lives of people most at risk of being killed or seriously injured in a crash. I'm not a technical expert, and I know there are lots of things to look at and consider and processes to follow when planning and designing all of those elements of the road infrastructure. And I know that all of you are already committed to safer roads, and I thank you for that. But in order to achieve Vision Zero and the goals of the Road to Zero strategy, we all have a part to play. So I urge you to go away and look at whether there is more you could do in your role within your organisation and as an industry to help reduce deaths and injuries on our roads and to help protect those most vulnerable road users. And to bring it back to what I said earlier about why Brake exists, we help to pick up the pieces when something goes wrong on the roads, whether that crash is due to someone's risky behaviour on the road, someone made a mistake, or whether another part of the system failed. If the worst happens, we're there to provide support. We provide free support resources and practical information for people who've been bereaved in crashes, and we're working on more information for those who've been seriously injured too. And we work with other support organisations like victim support and grief centres to provide information for people that they're working with. And it's also really important that organisations have measures in place in case an employee is involved in a serious crash or affected by a crash involving a loved one. And we support and provide information to organisations on that too. That includes things like bereavement and leave policies and procedures, employee assistance programmes, and access to other support through workplaces for anyone who's been affected. But we would love for there to be a time when our support services are no longer needed. So creating a Vision Zero system, it's not about preventing all crashes, but it is about minimising the damage if a crash does occur, minimising the risk of death or serious injury. And if we can prevent those deaths and injuries, and it means our support services are no longer needed, most importantly, we can save thousands of families from dealing with the devastating consequences of crashes every year. So we've looked at the road safety situation in New Zealand, Vision Zero, and planning and designing roads, particularly for prioritising the most vulnerable road users who are using them. So to finish with, I just wanted to quickly share a few of the initiatives that we run and how you can get more involved with our work. Firstly, we run National Road Safety Week each year. This year it takes place 17th to 23rd of May and is also a UN Global Road Safety Week. And the week has the theme of speed. It's free to sign up and get an electronic action pack of resources and activity ideas. And it's a great opportunity to get your organisation involved in some road safety messaging and community engagement. So visit roadsafetyweek.org.nz if you want to find out more and sign up. And lots of organisations also engage with their local communities, either during Road Safety Week or at other times. For example, these images are from sessions at a childcare centre and school where children were learning about the work of road workers and ways they can help to keep themselves safe around roadworks. Brake also runs an initiative called Global Fleet Champions, which is a global campaign to prevent crashes and reduce pollution caused by vehicles used for work. So if your organisation has staff who drive on work purposes, then this is relevant for you. And it's free to sign up through the website, globalfleetchampions.org, and access resources that share best practice in fleet safety. And we also run events such as webinars and seminars and a Fleet Champions Awards scheme through this initiative too. And if you'd like to work with us more, we are a charity and we do rely on corporate sponsors and partners, community fundraising and donations to keep doing our work and providing free support to those affected by crashes. This year is our 10th year. We're a small charity and there is so much more work to be done and we get requests to do a lot more, but we are limited by the amount of resources and funding that we have. So if you are able to support us, however big or small, we greatly appreciate it. And you're welcome to contact me to discuss further if you wish. You can also sign the Brake Pledge on our website, which is a personal commitment to safe and sustainable driving. And I want to finish off by saying thank you for the work that you do and for your commitment to making our roads safer. Together we can save lives and reduce injuries. So thank you for your time today. Thank you again for being able to contribute to your workshop, and particular thanks to Joe at Fulton Hogan who invited me to do this. And Fulton Hogan are one of our great corporate partners without whom we couldn't do the work that we are doing. So thank you to them and thank you for your time.